noise of the taxi. Their own engine throbbed back into life, and they began to edge forward. From where he stood, Brunetti could not see if the radar on the roof of the cabin was turning, but surely it had to be, or they would not be venturing to move at all. Then, as easily as if they were aboard a magic boat in a fantasy novel, they slipped through the grey curtain, and sunlight was restored to them. Inside the pilot's cabin, the sailor, completely relaxed, half leaned back against the window, and the captain looked ahead, hands on the tiller. On the embankment, the palazzi, freed of their foggy wrappings, moved calmly to the left as the Vaporetto approached the Valoriso stop. Behind him, the cabin door slid open and passengers slipped past him and bunched together in front of the railing. The boat docked. The sailor slid back the metal railing, people got off, people got on. The sailor slid the railing closed, and the boat departed. Brunetti looked back in the direction of the Accademia, but there was no sign of fog. Boats approached them and moved away. Ahead lay the Bacino. On the left, the Basilica, the Marciana, and the Palazzo stood quietly in their appointed places, while the morning sun continued sweeping up last night's shadows. Brunetti looked into the cabin, wondering if those inside had seen the same thing he had, but he had no memory of which of them had been aboard when he saw the fog. He would have had to ask them, but the anticipation of their looks kept him from doing so. Brunetti touched the top of the railing, but it was dry, as was the deck. He was wearing a dark blue suit, and he felt the sun warm his right sleeve and shoulder. The sun glowed, the air was fresh and dry, the sky was cloudless. He got off at San Zaccaria, leaving his newspaper behind, and as he watched the boat pulling away, leaving behind any hope of verifying what he had seen. He walked slowly down the Riva, grew tired of pondering the inexplicable, and instead concentrated his thoughts on what he would have to do when he got to the Questura. The previous afternoon, Brunetti had received an email from his superior, Vice Questore Giuseppe Pata, requesting that he come and have a word with him the following morning. No explanation had been given, which was normal. The language was polite, which was not. Most of Vice Questore Pata's behaviour was predictable for a man who had progressed through government bureaucracy. He seemed busier than he was. He never missed the opportunity to claim for himself any praise given to the organization for which he worked. He had a black belt in shifting blame or responsibility for failure to shoulders other than his own. What was not to be expected in someone who had, with such ease, shimmied up the pole of organizational success was the fact that he had, for decades, remained in the same place. Most men who attained his rank continued to rise, zigzagging from province to province, city to city, until perhaps a late career promotion took them to Rome, where they tended to remain like thick clots on the top of yogurt, cutting off light, air, and the possibility for growth from those below them. Pata, like a Cambrian trilobite, had dug himself into place at the Venetian Questura and had become a sort of living fossil. Beside him, petrified in the same layer of silt, was his assistant, Lieutenant Scarpa, another native of Palermo who had come to prefer these pastures new. Commissari came and went. 3 different questori had been in charge during Pata's time in Venice. Even the computers had been twice replaced. But Pata remained, a limpet, attached to his rock, as the waters washed over him and away, leaving him intact and in place, his faithful lieutenant at his side. And yet, neither Pata nor Scarpa had ever demonstrated any enthusiasm for the city, nor any special fondness for it. If someone said that Venice was beautiful, perhaps even going so far as to say it was the most beautiful city on earth, Scarpa and Pata would exchange a glance that expressed, but did not state, disagreement. Yes, they both seemed to be thinking, but have you ever seen Palermo? It was Pata's secretary, Signorina Elettra Zorzi, who greeted Brunetti as he came into the office from where she guarded that of the Vice Questore. "Ah, Commissario," she said. "The Vice Questore called a few minutes ago and asked me to tell you he'd be here soon." Had Vlad the Impaler apologized?